So I'll start my screen, sharing my screen. Right. So I switch on my virtual machine, right? VMware Workstation Pro, right? So here we'll have my computer, Windows Server 2003. Power on this virtual machine. So I click on power on this virtual machine. And your Windows Server 2003 will start. So it takes time. So once you get this Control Alt Del dialog box, you should not go for pressing Control Alt Del. Instead, here we have an option, right? Send Control Alt Del to this virtual machine. So instead of pressing the keys directly, I can click on this particular button, and it will be asking the username is always administrator, because every individual have its own server, Windows server, and password, give it as an empty and click on OK. And the comment, you give any one comment here and click on OK. And you can see that your virtual machine has come into the picture. All right. So you go for first SQL Plus. So once I go for SQL Plus, my password is Tiger, host string is Oracle, right? And I log into my Oracle SQL Plus. Today, we have seen the simple mapping in the last class. How to transform the data from one table to another table and restore back to your database by using your Informatica. We have seen four components. One is a designer component, one is a workflow component, another one is a monitor, and one is a workflow repository. So in the previous class, we have done almost all the basic things and we have finished. And today we are going to see that you have a table description EM. This is your table. So in this table, I will see how many records are there. Select start from EMP. Right. So how many table records you have? Here you can see 14 records are available. Right. Now I want to filter the records. So I want to display the employees whose salary is greater than or equal to 3,000. So here you can look into the salary column, right? So it is of 800, 1600, 1200, 2,900. Likewise, you have the salary. So I want to filter this. I want to transform this EMP data into a filtration I apply, and I want to store into my repository as well as into the Oracle database I want to store. So what I have to do now, I have to create the target table. So why I need to create the target table? Whatever the filter data, I write a query here whose salary is greater than 2,500, such records to be stored in different table. And as well, it has to be stored in the repository, which cannot be changed further, right? So what I have to do, I have to create a target table. What I have to do, I have to go for creating a target table. What table? The target table is a filtered data of EMP table. Right. So my filter here is I apply the filter whose salary is greater than 2,500. Right. Such records only I have to fetch here and put in this filter EMP. So what is the structure of that particular table? The structure of the table is select star from EMP. How your EMP looks, the same structure the table is created. Instead of creating again, create table, table name, field name, EMP number, e-name, job. Likewise, I directly create the table and truncate my table. So once I truncate the table, what happens? All the records will be deleted here, right? And I have the empty table. Now I go for typing select star from filter underscore EMP. So can you see any records are found? No. So when you are writing in the record, before transformation, after transformation. Before transformation, your target table has no records selected. After completing your Informatica process, and you can see some records are found in your filter underscore EMP. Right. So my tables are now ready. The source table is ready and my filter table, the target table is ready. So what I have to do, I have to import this source table as well as the target table to my Informatica repository. And related to this Oracle SQL Plus, my task is been done. So I minimize. Next, what I have to do, I have to go to administrator. Before starting Informatica, always you have to start your Informatica server. Yes. So once I want to go for starting the Informatica server, go to the start administrative tools, and in the administrative tools you have the services, and in the services I have here Informatica. Right, I right click on that Informatica and click on the start button. Then you can see this Informatica server has been started. So what I do now, I minimize this one. Right. Now, what is the next component? Already I have created the folder, right? I have created my own repository. So no need to go for a repository manager here. One time only you create your repository. That is done in the first lab, right? So again, no need to create the folder. So again, those who are absent for the previous lab, if you want to create your folder, you can go for creating the folder by clicking on the repository manager. You will get this dialog box, repository manager, and I click on the admin. And if I click on the admin, I get username and password as a Scott and Dyke. So these are the things which have done in the previous lab. And you want to create a folder, I can create the folder. My name of the folder is here, Lavanya is my folder. I can create my folder with all privileges. So read privilege, write privilege, and execute privilege is given, and owner is Scott, and the groups are administrator. I click on OK. And you can see successfully the Lavanya folder is being created with all read, write, and execute privileges of all the owner, group, as well as others. So whoever wants to execute, all the privileges are given. So this is done. So repository manager, you have successfully created your own repository and you can close it. Now we have to come to the first component, designer component. If it is on the desktop, no problem, you can select. If it is not in the desktop, you have to go for selecting all programs. In the all programs, you have Informatica Power Center 7.1.1 version, which we are using. In that, we are talking about only the client component. Where in the client component, you have the designer, where you have workflow manager, where you have a workflow monitor. Only with these three. Repository manager also, if you want, you can go. Just now we have created the new folder, right? So what are the things here? You have designer, repository manager, right? And workflow manager, workflow monitor. So first we go for selecting your designer component, or if it is available on the desktop, you can go for selecting on the desktop. Right click on the repository manager, admin, and always the password is in the lowercase tiger. You have to give the password. Now you can see all the different logins here. So if I want to work in this repository, I can work. No, I have worked in the previous laboratory with this, then I can work, right? So now I start working with this new folder. Just now I created the new folder. So what I have to get, just now in the SQL, I have EMP table and I have created my target table, which is filter underscore EMP. All right. So what I do, I go to the folder, Lavanya folder. Now I have to create a connectivity between the Informatica and the Oracle. In the previous lab, I have demonstrated, but once again, I will demonstrate for the Accentis. So I go to the tools. First, I select the source analyzer. So immediately I get the source analyzer. I can see here the source menu option is available. So click on this source menu option. So from where you want to import the data? From the database, right? So click on the database. And already in the previous class, we have created the DSN 19121F00039. No, I want to create my own DSN. That is system DSN I want to create. Then I click on the system DSN tab here and I click on the add button. So if I click on the add button, if I check Oracle ODBC driver is available, because I need to connect it to Oracle SQL Plus. So what is the driver that is supporting? The supporting driver is Oracle ODBC driver. I click on a OK. And what should be the name of my DSN? The name of my DSN is Lavanya underscore DSN. What is the service name here? Always the service name is Oracle, right? And click on OK, right? So you got your DSN activated here, done. So either I can go for selecting this DSN, or if I want, just now I created Oracle ODBC, I can create, and I go for typing here Scott, type, and I click on the connect button. Immediately I will be connected backend Oracle SQL Plus. So what is my source table here? Because I have selected a tools source analyzer. In the sources, I have to import the table. In the sources, if I want to import the table, my table is EMP table. So I click on the EMP table. Immediately the table comes to the sources. You can click here. Under Lavanya DSN, EMP table is been successfully imported. So once it is imported, I have to save this table into the repository. Yes. So I click on the S, and you can see that in the repository Lavanya folder, your EMP is being successfully inserted. Yes. Now what you have to do, what is your target table here? The target table is filter underscore EMP. So I need to go for selecting these targets. So if I want to go for selecting the target table, select the tools menu option, select data warehouse designer. Here you don't have target analyzer. You have only source analyzer, and you want to import the target table. You have to select warehouse designer. I click on warehouse designer. I get the targets immediately option. Your sources will be erased now, and you get a new option here called targets. All right. So in the targets, what we have to do? We have to go for importing from the database. So what is my DSN here? I will select my DSN, and username is always Scott, and password is always title. What is your target EMP target table here? Please check it. Your target table is filter underscore EMP. So I can select filter underscore EMP and click on OK. And immediately if I click on the targets, I can see filter underscore EMP is been successfully inserted into your repository. Once it is inserted into the repository, I click on save button, and you can see in the repository, right, your filter EMP is being successfully inserted. right? So I have now both the source table as well as the target table to transmit the data or to transform the data from EMP to filter by applying transformations. All right. So what I have to do, the next step, source is there, target is there. Then I have to go for mapping. Once I click on the mapping designer, immediately I'll get a menu option called mappings menu option. If I click on mappings menu option, you have a drop down list where you have to select create button. So what is my mapping name now? It is filter mapping, right? So to represent what operation I am doing, I give the same name for my mapping also. So my mapping is a filter mapping. Right. What I have to do here in the filter mapping, I have to drag and drop my source table. I have to drag and drop my target table. Now the source table is there and target table is there in my canvas area. Right. So I want my transformations now. So once you see on the top of the menu, you have a transformation icon, menu option, right? So I click on the transformation menu option where I go for creating the transformation. Ma, can you hear me? Ma, here it is showing the net is not connected. Can you hear me, all of you?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Okay. Yes. So once I click on the transformation menu option, then you can see here the create transformation dialog box is enabled. So what type of transformations I have to apply here? I have all the list of transformations. So the transformation may be source qualifier, update strategy, expression, stored procedure, sequence generator, aggregator, and your transformation is here filter. So I click on the filter and give my transformation name as a filter underscore transformation. Yes. So this is what done. So once I do this particular, I will get an empty table here. All right. So whatever the changes I want to do, I can go for applying the changes in my source qualifier. So what I do now, this is my source qualifier, which is replica of my source table, which I am not going to do any modifications in the source table. Just in the replica, I drag and drop each and every field here on the transformation. I drag and drop. I can drag and drop all the fields or whatever the fields that is, suppose in my target table, I have only 4 fields, suppose EMP number, name, salary and department, then I can have only here EMP number, name, salary and department number, and remaining attributes no need to transfer. But whatever the attributes you have in the target table, the same attribute should be there in the filter transformation also, right? So then you have to map. Before going for the mapping, you have to apply the condition, right? So where I'll apply the condition, I double click on my filter transformation. So once I double click on the filter transformation, I get the properties option. I get the properties option. I click here in the browser, the properties option. So what is my condition here? My condition is the salary, whose salary is greater than 2,500. Only such records has to be transmitted to my target table is my condition, right? So I put my formula here in the ports tab. I click on the ports tab and I click on the salary. Immediately it comes here, or you can type right? Salary greater than 2,500. After giving your condition here, what kinds of filtration you want to apply, then I can go for clicking on validate button, right? And it is expression parsed successfully. You have to get the message. If I get a message expression parsed successfully, then I click on OK button, and then immediately I apply. Okay, yes, my condition has been set, right? Then what I have to do, I have to connect my transformations to the target table. So directly, if I want to connect, just I can drag and drop here. The connection may be established. No, I want to don't do like that. I want to go for connecting directly. Then select your layout option. So in the layout option, you have an auto link facility. From where to where you want to connect? From filter transformation to filter EMP. You want to connect, apply now. Okay. Instead of dragging and dropping everything directly, all the links at a time can be generated. Now you can see all the fields are successfully mapped. Yes, my design is being completed. How you write your algorithm for your program? Likewise, my design is being completed to transform my filtered data to the target table, and which has to be stored in the repository. And the same design you have to write on your record also, right? So I will send the steps how to do it. I will send a record also, and you please write in your records, right? All of you. So after finishing your lab, you can start your record session for this. Right now, you prepare for your mid exams and external exams and lab exams. The recordings you can restore and you can write later, right? So yes, my mapping is done. So what I have to do, I have to go to repository and I will save. And you here you can see at the bottom in the output window, mapping, filter mapping is a valid mapping. And this mapping is being inserted into your repository. This is the message you are going to get. So once my mapping is done, I close my designer component. Then what is the next component I have to select? Here I have a workflow, right? At the first time you don't have any options here. Go to the client and select your workflow manager. So my design is finished. Now I need to execute that one. So to execute that one, I need to go for workflow manager. So once I go to the workflow manager, I click on the Scott and admin button, and you get a dialog box like connect to repository. And once I connect it to repository, it will be asking the username and the password, and you have to type Scott Tiger Connect. All right. So where I have done in the previous designer component, everything I have done in Lavanya folder. So what I do here also, I should select the same folder. I should not select a different folder, right? Then I have to go for creating the connection to the database here also. So if I want to connect it to your Oracle database, I have to select your relational database. Right. So here I need to go for creating the new connection for the source table as well as the target table. To which type of database you need to connect? Oracle. So I select the type as Oracle. And here I should give the appropriate names here. Source underscore ML is my name, and password. So, sorry, username is Scott. Password is Tiger. Connection string is Oracle. Not caps. Everything should be given in a small letters. Check whether it is a small letters or caps. If it is a capital letters, this will not work. The password is given in capital letters, it will not work. So I click on OK. Source underscore ML is created. Similarly, for the target, I have to select a new Select the subtype as Oracle, click on OK, and give them the target name as a target underscore ML. And what is the username? Scott. What is the password? Tiger. What is the connection string? Oracle. I click on OK. So I have my source connection and I have my target connection. I close it. Yes. Now, coming to your workflow manager, you have a tools menu option where you have a task developer. Click on the task developer. So once I click on the task developer, you get a tasks here. I click on the task and I create the task. What is my task name here? A filter underscore. What is the session? This is the session. That is why I create a filter underscore session. Once I click immediately, whatever the mapping I have done here, immediately, what is the name of the mapping here? Filter underscore mapping. The filter underscore mapping will automatically come here and you can click on OK. That mapping what you have done is being mapped to your task, right? And once it is mapped to the task, you click on done option. Yes. Now I click on the double click on the filter session. So you can see here under the sessions, whatever the name I have given for the filter underscore session, you can see in your repository navigator. So filter underscore session, right? So I double click on this filter underscore session. Then go for mappings. So once I click on the mappings, you can see here that sources and the targets. So click on the sources, SQ underscore EMP. So what is your DSN which you have created for the source underscore ML. I select. Then I come to the targets and I select my target underscore EMP, where I have to click on this browser and I select target underscore ML. Okay. And always my target load type should be a normal. And if it is a bulk, you will get an error. So don't forget to choose this option as a normal. Always the default option is here bulk and you have to change it as a normal. And once I click on the target load type as normal, I click on apply. Okay. Yes, my filter session is now ready. All right. So once it is ready, I have some tool to have executed. So for that, I should go for tools and workflow designer. So once I click on the workflow designer, I will get the option called workflows. I click on the option workflows and I click on create button. What is my workflow? Filter workflow. So I give the same name throughout my experiment. Filter underscore workflow. And I click on OK. Yes, my workflow is ready now to execute. And what to execute? The task which you have already created, drag and drop here. Drag and drop your task. Now I have to connect this workflow and this filter session. So what I do, you have a layout, you have a task and select link task. So immediately a cursor will be enabled with the plus and you connect both the thing and you save. Yes, you can see now the workflow filter is inserted and your session is valid. Everything you can see in your here. The filter underscore workflow validation completed with no errors. Right? Is valid. Yes, I saved the thing. Once again, if I want to save, then you get this particular option to save in a different folder, select another folder. Yes, what I have to do now, right click on the filter session, start workflow from the task. So I have started my workflow from the task and you can see here the message is succeed. So once the message is succeed, Once the message is succeed, immediately I should go to my Oracle design. So what is the previous command? Select star from filter underscore EMP. Now what I do? Select the same command I will execute from filter underscore EMP. You can see here you got how many records? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 out of 14 records whose salary is greater than 2,500. Yes, yes, you got your filter applied through transformations in Informatica. You have transformed your EMP data to the filtered data, and that filtered data is stored both in your Oracle as well as in your repository. So if you want to check here also, you can right click on your target table and you can go for preview data. Right click on the target table, preview data, select your DSN, and your DSN is Lavanya underscore DSN, and username is Scott is my username, and password is the, and here you can see the output. So this is the final output you have to write on your reports. After transformation, select star from target underscore EMP and you get these 5 records, and that 5 records needs to be updated. Yes. And you close and there finishes your job. Right, this is the status workflow monitor. If you get any workflow, even the output, I can go for seeing here. Once I click here, view, organize, statistics. Right, you close your workflow monitor, right? Everything you close. And finally, you have to switch on power of your virtual machine. So once I close it, I will get power off button. So click on the power off button. Your virtual machine will be closing. Right? So once the virtual machine closes, then you can proceed with the next slide. Okay, ma'am?